Panther Nation, welcome back to another episode of Inside the Jungle, your weekly talk show discussing all things Bay Area Panthers football. I'm your host, Christina Tetreault, and today we're here in Morgan Hill. We're about to sit down with head coach Rob Keefe at Sushi Confidential to talk about the team's latest win against the Northern Arizona Wranglers and also hear all about the preparations that the team are making as they head back to the Valley of the Sun to take on the Rattlers. Let's go. Coach, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so we're here at Sushi Confidential. We're about ready to eat, both of us quite hungry.
Yes.
And we're here to talk football. We just came off of a win, away game against Northern Arizona. A great win, and it was a bit of a rebound game because it came after our very first loss of the season.
Yep.
So how did it feel to go ahead and win on an away field in away territory?
It feels good. It feels good to win. I mean, I'll be the first to tell you that, when you lose, it sucks. When you win, it feels good. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. At the end of the day, though, the guys worked really hard. I was really proud of how they responded. Everybody in the building, staff members, coaches, players, interns, everybody that was involved in the process of winning, which is a lot of people. But they took it to heart. They were upset that we lost and came out with a victory because the preparation was what it needed to be to win.
Now, the preparation from our first loss, which home game, going into Northern Arizona, what was that like? And I know there was a lot of rest associated with that as well.
Yeah, I think it's we talked about accountability. We talked about looking at yourself in the mirror. What do we need to do to get better? It was a reset. I think sometimes when you lose, it makes you focus on your goals a little bit harder. Unfortunately, sometimes, you have to go through those things. You have to take a step back to take two steps forward. But everybody really took pride in the fact of what they could have done better, and they applied it to this week of last week, and we got a win because of it.
Now, 39-36.
Yes.
The team, it was definitely not an easy win. Would argue that most are not. A lot of effort went into that. Also a very close game. Overall, how do you think that the Panthers performed and everyone who came out on the field did ultimately?
Look, it was awesome. Look, at the end of the day, when you talk about Northern Arizona, we call it, NAZ, great coaching staff, won a championship there in 2022, have all the respect in the world for their organization, the coaches. They recruit great players. Their players play hard for them. It's a tough place to play. Morgan Hill, San Jose, it's 350 feet, above sea level. We just went to pretty much mile high is what we went. So the guys were huffing and puffing. It's an altitude issue. It's a noise issue. Northern Arizona, they got from the IFL, they got what we call it, almost like the fan of the week, because there was that many fans in the building, which was awesome. So it was a loud place to play. So really proud of everybody, the way they handled the environment. But it was awesome. I loved the game. It was fun. For me, it's always fun when you battle people that you care about. Love the coaching staff there. Have nothing but love for them. But happy nonetheless that we got the win.
We're definitely going to go into some of our star players because there are some really, really big highlights on the Panther side of things. But let's hit that a little bit. You could tell from the moment people were watching the game, whether they were in person or watching the live broadcast through the IFL's YouTube page, that the announcers, the team, the staff, everyone has a great relationship with you coming off of a win, a championship win with them. What was it like coming back to grounds you have been a coach in and against an organization you also care about?
I love being there. It's always fun when you get to go back to a place where you've experienced success. I feel that about everywhere that I've won, because you have a special relationship with the people, the bond. You have a relationship with the community. So everybody there, I really do. I have genuine love for. Me and Coach Moss after the game, we told each other we love each other. I mean, that's just how it is. And Rod, the offensive coordinator, Rod Windsor, great football player when he was a player. He's like my brother. I mean, that's just how we feel about each other. So great admiration for everyone in that organization. Love to see their growth as a community. I love that the community supports it. It's one of those places, too, there's not much going on up there, and it's not a negative. It's just, they're the New York Giants of Northern Arizona. And
it's a remote part of the desert.
It is. I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's cowboy territory. I mean, it's really cool.
Very much Wild Wild West.
The history of it. So it was fun being up there. And then we took all of our players when we went there. We had some downtime. We took them to Prescott. Yep. And so they went.
That's fun.
They went kind of like all the places, saloons and things like that. To have lunch, and it was cool to see the sights. Guys have never seen that before. So that's part of the growth too. That
Sure.
I've been very fortunate to. I mean, really been in almost every state, in the lower 48 because of football. And so these players are starting to kind of experience that themselves. So it was cool to see them see something for the first time and get a win on top of it was awesome.
Yeah. Okay, I've got to ask a player question, an off-the-field player question with that. You mentioned the old school saloons. Again, if people don't know much about Prescott Valley or Prescott, Arizona, Wild Wild West territory, you're driving right north in Anthem, north of on 17. What was probably the funniest memory of these guys who have not been to the Wild Wild West and or most memorable moment of the travels when they got to go to the saloons and or like some of the fun, more historical areas? Any moments that you'd like to share?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's look, I think look for me, it's the experience of guys being in a small community. So that's a very, very small town, and so what was, I mean, I wasn't prepared to say this, but what was funny to me is, we're at the local Walmarts and we're in. It's not hard to figure out that these guys are professional athletes.
Right, they're huge.
They're huge. I mean, these guys, I mean, you can tell. I mean, we're a football team when we walk in the building. And if you're not used to that, it can kind of take you aback. And so I'm laughing right now because the way that, let's just say, women were reacting to our players being in Prescott. It was pretty interesting watching people follow the players around.
The new guys in town.
The new guys in town. And so there was a lot of admiration for them. And I thought, as a coach, I could, everybody's on their best behavior, of course, but it was pretty funny to see. And, it was, let's just keep it at that. But it was great. And it's cool to see that because everybody knows that, hey, the Bay Area Panthers are in town. There's some new guys in the building. And so it was fun to see maybe small town folk, if you will, just kind of experience, professional athletes. And so it's always fun when we go to places like that. And nothing but love for the people in Prescott and Prescott Valley. It's a good community.
Tell me why I also just had the visual of someone's grandmother in Walmart just being thrilled at a young whippersnapper walking through the aisles and just being like, look at that cute boy, you should date my granddaughter.
That's exactly what happens. And the coolest thing to see for me is when our players, they're so polite, they're so professional. I really enjoy it. And I'll sit back maybe 10, 15 feet away. I can listen to their conversations. Hey, come out. They'll sell other communities on why you should come to the game. This is who we're playing. This is the arena that we're playing in. Hey, right, they're in Prescott. It's the Finley Toyota Center. Hey, this is where we're going to be. Saturday night, 6:05. You guys should come out. Oh yeah, we've been to a game before. Okay, cool. Shaking hands with them. It's cool to see. I really appreciate that. Our guys are very polite. They're very put together, and it's cool to see other communities kind of embrace that. So I'm proud when I get to talk like that about them. So
that's sweet. That's sweet. Now on the field. Great game. Again, 39-36, also close game, but we had some really star highlights that came out of that, star players who really were shining quite brightly, if you will. So Sugar Shane, let's go ahead and talk about his performance. What was the best thing for you to see? And let's go in depth into his performance and really what was a change up for him this game?
Yeah, I think, look, Coach Wooten has an excellent game plan every single week. Like, we really challenged the offense last week. We didn't perform up to our standards. When we talk about Vegas game, we had 3 turnovers. We struggled to move the ball at times. And as an offensive coordinator, an offense in general, you take that to heart. I do the same thing. If we give up a certain amount of points, I'm not proud of that. You really are almost embarrassed, if you will. And so they came out. We realized that he's one heck of an athlete. But when Shane has the game he has, it's because of the quarterback. It's because of the offensive line. It's because of the receivers blocking, whoever it might be. But to have 2, touchdowns, rushing, to have 2 touchdowns receiving shows his versatility. Right place, right time. But he's an exceptional athlete, and really, it's somebody who we really, appreciate in this organization. Right. He does, a great job. Athletic trainers do a great job of keeping him healthy all week, and he came out there and performed at a high level, and I'm hoping that he gets Offensive Player of the Week this week because I think he deserves it.
What does he do off the field that really sets him apart as an athlete?
Well, first off, he's gifted, and that's just, look, at the end of the day, I'm a very honest, transparent coach that to play at a high level, you have to have a certain skill set. No matter how great your heart is, how great your personality is, if you're not bigger, stronger, quicker, faster, it's just not going to work out for you. But he has all of that, and plus, and he has the intangibles of the studying, the perception, the vision, that extra level of talent that it takes to be successful at a high level. And again, goes to Coach Wooten, who works, wonders when it comes to putting a game plan together to highlight him, knows when to push the play button, knows when to kind of pull it back, knows who to give the ball to at a certain amount of times. And so just the offense is really clicking. And I know the offense needed that. And I was really happy that the offense performed at the level they did because they worked so hard, and it was awesome to see it come to fruition.
Switching gears, Tyler Watson also had quite a game. What were some of the strengths he brought to the field as well?
Well, he led the team in tackles, and not to mention that, he's a really, really crafty DB, and that's what I love about him. He's extremely intelligent, and we have some intelligent DBs. I mean, every single DB on our team, look, you can't play for me. And again, being very humble about this, but you got to be an intelligent, defensive player to be on our defense.
Sure.
It's a high-level defense. There's a lot of things that are moving pieces that you have to understand, and then in terms of reading coverages and formational patterns or whatever it might be in different formations. So anyway, without going too deep into it, he's an extremely intelligent defensive back, and he understands. And I feel like he's an extension of me when we're on the field because I know he can identify things very quickly. And when you can identify things quickly as a defensive player, you're able to put yourself in a position to make plays. And so he's only getting started, and I think sky's the limit for him.
That's really exciting. I'm going to go ahead and ask the same follow-up with that. What are some of the things he does off the field that really help him stand out and really help him elevate his game?
They study, he's a studier. Like, that's the talk too, that everybody on our team has a goal to make it to the highest level possible. And then guys who've maybe been to the highest level possible, their goal is to win a championship. So nobody on our team really that we want here, and I say want, is we want him to have goals. And so for him to have the goals that I know he has, you got to study. And so he studies. He's a film junkie, and it's some people when they watch film, it's a chore. Yeah. He's that kind of guy that enjoys the process of getting better, and that's what's making him awesome. So whether it be with the athletic trainers, making sure his body's right, whether it be in the film study, whether it be in the walkthroughs, I mean, he really is taking it to the next level to push himself to see how far he can take it, and that's ultimately, I think, how you get the best out of your own self. So,
now, what would you say were some highlights defensively that we have not brought up yet, or if you could even bring it down to one or two plays that you really want to mention specifically at that game?
Yeah, I think, look, we were really patient in terms of how we played that football game. They have a lot of young players on their offensive side of the football in Northern Arizona, and we played the game well. And I think schematically we did a good job of putting our guys in the right position, and they executed. But the defensive line was hunting all night, and eventually they wore the offensive line down. We got the sacks when it was time to get him. BJ got his sacks. Darren got his sacks. Daytona was hunting every single night. Bryce Rogers is a person we haven't talked about. E.J. Ani is a person we haven't talked about, but those guys are doing an amazing job at the nose guard spot. So everybody was doing what they needed to do to put the pressure on a very, very young, inexperienced offense. And that team's only going to get better. I mean, there wasn't, to keep it in perspective, there wasn't one player on that offensive side of the ball in Northern Arizona that was not a rookie. So we played against all rookies and still only won by 3 points. That shows you how high level of coaching that there is there. And those guys, by the next time we see them, I mean, they'll be veterans, if you will. So it was cool. I mean, it was cool to see them, us to progress the way we did throughout the game, and then got the stops when we needed, got a big time blocked field goal when it was time, and so did everything we needed to do to win the football game, and that's all it means on the road. Just come away with the win and celebrate it and move on to the next.
Really just the same question on the opposite side of things, offensively. What were some things that, even one or two plays that we have not mentioned, that you think really stood out that were very memorable from that game?
Well, I was proud of the offense that we executed in the third quarter. And that was the first time that we scored on all of our possessions in the third quarter. Outside of the first possession of the game, they scored on every single possession, and that's what it is. And so we knew that the game was going to be at a slow pace based on the way we were playing defense, based on the way they were playing defense. It was going to be a low-scoring game. So it's not about how many points you put up. It's about what you do on how many possessions you get. So if you get 8 possessions, you're scoring all 8. If you get 15, you're scoring all 15. And so offense did everything they did right was, hey, take what the defense gives you, execute, move the sticks, make sure that we're getting the ball in the end zone, and they did that in any means necessary when you're on the road. And so proud of the way that everybody stuck together, and that was again, it was an intense environment. It was loud. Our
echoing.
It was. I mean, yeah, without a doubt. Like, it's a small arena, so it reverberates right down back on you. And some of our players said it was the loudest arena they've been in all year. So that was really cool to see that we handled the challenge and we were able to move on with a win.
Right. I even think about the difference we have playing at SAP Center, which is such a huge arena, and the difference that would be in game to execution because we're not practicing in anything of the sorts. Also, I'm very curious to know, our guys practice outside. What would be the advantages or disadvantages of our team practicing outside but executing inside? Are there any? Because SAP Center is big. It's not like the Prescott Valley one. Are there any?
I mean, look, it's like you can always simulate crowd noise. I mean, we can get, and we do it sometimes where we have a DJ out there and the DJ's pumping music on us, making the crowd noise loud. We can simulate things like that. For us, we take advantage of the great weather that we have here in California. So it's awesome to get outside on the surface that we play on. Indoors, sometimes that can be very hard. It can be hard on the body. So to get outside, in a natural environment, it's a lot less stressful on your body. So there's a lot of benefits. But then again, we've had enough games this year that we've played indoor that it doesn't affect us that much. Sometimes you could talk about the dimensions of the field, but we actually set the dimensions of the field even outside. So the way that we cone off the field is exact to a T to how we play inside. So, it doesn't really affect us in that regard. But, from a simulation of crowd noise, there's nothing you can really simulate. We can't simulate the altitude that Northern Arizona have. We go to Phoenix. I know we're going to talk about the Arizona Rattlers. It's 40 degrees hotter in Phoenix than it is here. So, I mean, there's only so much you can do outside of prepare the players mentally and, hopefully they listen to us and they hydrate or whatever it might be. So.
Before we go to that transition, how's the sushi thus far? That's what I need to know.
It's awesome. How's the one you dropped on your lap there?
I'm very thrilled to say it didn't hit the pants, and it was luckily a cucumber. But
you noticed that I noticed that? I don't think you thought
no, I didn't. But I did know. I was in that moment. I said, I'm probably not going to need to react to that. It's also a cucumber right here. No. You know what? We're really 3 for 3 today on those.
Great peripheral vision as a defensive back over here. So.
I'm really, really, really glad I'm sitting next to that. Great. It's definitely somewhere by my foot. So that's just the thing. It's really somewhere very close. So as we dive into this, I do just want to go ahead and mention that I wrote it down. This is called the Lion King. It's a baked roll. Right. And we were told by Sushi Confidential that it would be, quote, very much worth the wait. So I just wanted to share that. This is the only one on tinfoil. Okay. So if you would please feel free to reach over.
Okay, so it's baked. That's why it's on tinfoil.
Yes.
Okay. You're allowing me to reach over?
Yes, 100%.
Pardon my reach?
No. Also, there's an entire plate of chicken, so you know what? Yeah. Okay, we are going to be discussing now Northern Arizona, our next home game. But as we lead into that, this week's practice, coming off of that win, preparing now, 40 degrees warmer. Of course, it is going to be indoors, but the travel, that is also very extensive on the body. How are the Panthers preparing for Arizona Heat and going to play the Rattlers, because that's also a very intense, very athletic team?
Yeah, look, it's a rivalry to say the least. We know their coaching staff very, very well. We've battled with their head coach for a very long time, all the way back to when I was a very, very young head coach in the Arena Football League. This is 15 years of going back and forth and battling, and there's nothing but mutual respect in terms of how we prepare for each other. It's going to be an awesome game, I mean, to say the least. So we won pretty much on the last play of the game. Last time we played them, it was the same way last year. They had the number 1 seed. We had the number 2 seed. They've had a lot of success. He's won championships. I've won championships. Their players have won championships. Our players have won championships. There's players from our team actually last year that have signed to the Arizona Rattlers. There's players from the Arizona Rattlers last year that have signed to us. So this is a rivalry, to say the least bit. And Coach Wooten goes way back. I mean, everybody has something to do with everybody in this one. Their offensive coordinator was an offensive coordinator on my staff, 10 years ago. So we've all been there, done that, and so there's a mutual respect there, and both sides are going to prepare accordingly. And I think it's going to be an awesome game.
How does that fuel the preparation?
Oh, nobody wants to lose. I'll tell you that. Losing is not cool, and so. Look, they're 4-3
on a T-shirt.
Yeah, without a doubt. Nobody losing is not cool, and so we're 6-1, and we have to separate ourselves to get to 7-1. They're 4-3. The last thing they want to go is 4-4 to be sitting at 500. We know that we're going to get their best. And in rivalry games, anything's bound to happen, and it's going to come down to the wire. That's just the way it's going to be. So we have to be, on all hands on deck, if you will. And so going down there, being in a rowdy environment. 100-degree heat. You got to make sure that we're prepared accordingly. And everybody says, "Oh, you play indoors." Well, it's hot. Trust me. It's the minute you step off that plane, it's going to smack you in the face. So we have to make sure we're hydrated. Everybody's doing what they needed to do.
Electrolytes.
Without a doubt. We do a really, really good job of that. It was the same thing in the altitude. You got to make sure you're oxygenated properly. And so, we take everything seriously. But I know they do too. And I know that they're looking at us with great respect. Our quarterback last year, Dalton Snead, who helped us win a championship, more than likely, I fully expect him to play. And so it's going to be a good one. And I do. I mean, respect is the key word. And so, we're going to come out, guns a-blazing. I know they will be too, and it'll be a great game.
Now, for anyone who is not there, Arizona Rattlers were our very first game of the season, our very first home game, Easter Sunday. Our players were, I guess you could say, a bit more junior because it was the first game of the season. It was not their first game of the season. What type of athleticism are we now bringing to the table the second time we're competing against Arizona Rattlers as compared to our first game?
Well, our guys are, this is game 8. So this is the, halfway point of the season.
Yeah.
When you look at the regular season. So our guys have experienced a lot. We have a lot of great depth on our team. I think every team in the league is battling injuries. That's just what happens in this league. We have small roster sizes, and then when people get hurt, how quickly can you, get the new guys up to speed? And I think our coaches have done a great job at that. Our players that have remained on the team this year have, even though they're hurt, they're helping new guys who walk in the building because they don't want to lose. So we're just ready. I think, look, the more reps you get at anything, repetition, the 10,000-hour rule, that's just part of life, where you just – the more you do something, the better you get at it. And so I think you're seeing that, and it's it's getting to the point where we're really in good rhythm. It's good to get back in the win column, and guys are really starting to learn how to be professionals. So that's a big part of it, how to prepare not only their from a football standpoint, but their physicality, their mentality, their emotional part of the game too. They're really starting to take it all in.
Now, going to Arizona as well, what is that away game going to look like in regards to logistics? What type of, how early is the team getting there? Also, what are you doing to that roll? There's something that just completely came off the top.
So it's a lobster roll, and so you have to remove the lobster part of it to get to whatever I'm eating right now, but it's delicious.
What is the away game going to look like? What type of visits when the team hits the ground in Arizona is the team having?
Yeah, well, it's all business trip. That's how it is. Like, we're not out there to be spectators. That's what we talked about, even in Prescott Valley. Like, there's the downtime. There's time where the guys can kind of take it all in. But, when you're in Phoenix, we're not walking around.
Right.
Prescott Valley was 70 degrees. It was beautiful. They got to kind of see the mountains. That was a whole other experience. But there's no business to walk around in 100-degree heat. So, we're going to get in early. We're going to make sure that we're, prepared. A lot of meetings in the hotels. Make sure we're eating solid foods. That everything. Don't go experimenting the night before a game. Guys are. And this is another part of just teaching young players. Make sure you're eating the right stuff before the game to give you the proper energy to perform. For the next day. But we're in and out. That's how it is. We fly early on a Friday. Games on a Saturday night. We're out early Sunday morning. And so you're just there to accomplish the task of winning, and then you get back on. And you just kind of continue that rhythm. So excited to be down there. I'm always excited for the next challenge and excited for a great week of preparation.
Also, Arizona Rattlers are going to bring quite a lot of noise. 22 years in the making, a lot of championships under the coach's belt.
Yep.
What type of experience should anyone be expecting inside of the arena in Glendale?
Yeah, well, when you face a team that has been around for as long as the Rattlers have, they've been in a lot of leagues. They've had a lot of success. There's a lot of banners hanging from that building. It's ingrained in the community. And so everybody in the Phoenix area knows who the, Arizona Rattlers are. And so a lot of cowbells, a lot of crazy noise, a lot of great fans, rabid fan base. They've moved arenas. So we're going to be in Glendale. That'll be the first, arena that I've never played in that arena. So that'll be a new experience for me too. But, it's all the same. Again, it's a respect for the fans, respect for the organization, respect for the coaching staff and the players. Like, they're going to come ready. And, it's hostile territory. We got to be prepared for it. And, really championship teams win on the road. You have to learn how to win on the road because that's how you got to, stack the wins. Again, you just got to take care of business and put your head down and grind it out.
What players should people have their eye on this week in regards to performance, whether it be following them in their preparation or the game against the Rattlers?
Well, look, it's always hard for me to single out one player, but, I'm really excited to see guys like younger guys kind of step up. I think you're starting to see guys like Tomas, like really come to his own. We talked about Watson, Tyler, and so you're starting to see some of these younger guys, really step up and do what they need to do to be successful. LaQuinston Sharp on an offensive lineman is one of the best offensive linemen in the league. Kyle Davis is, again, being a great veteran leader. So there's these people that are, doing what they need to do to be successful, kind of under the radar. But it takes them all. Like, we travel 21 guys dress. It's a small roster, but everybody that's doing their part is out there every single day. And so it's the ultimate team sport. So it's really hard. I like talking about them after the fact, because you never know who's going to step up, but you hope that everybody steps up, everybody does their job at a high level, very we over me feel, when it comes to the Bay Area Panthers. So excited to see, again, another opportunity for the players to execute on a high level, and, hopefully we get to celebrate a victory, once again.
What will it be like to see Dalton Snead, our quarterback, very much MVP of last year, obviously won a championship with us. Now seeing him on the opposite side of things, whether he plays or not, what will it be like seeing him amongst many other players?
Yeah, look, there's always emotions involved, and that's just part of being a pro. For me, it's I love it. It's a cool challenge. It's a cool kind of storyline, if you will. He's from Phoenix, and good for him. We knew when we won a championship, more likely he was going to probably play for the Rattlers. Why would you not want to play close to home? I completely understand that. But yeah, I texted him on his birthday. He went to the University of Montana when they made the playoffs or had a good playoff win. I texted him. So we total respect. Anytime you win a championship, just like me in Northern Arizona, it's the same concept. They see me on the other side. Fans there were nothing but gracious to me. Got a lot of love for Dalton, and then it's one of those things where, hey, our goal is to win the game. I want to win the game. I want to beat him, but he wants to win too. But at the end of the day, you don't wish any ill will, and it's just it's a good rivalry, and nothing but respect for him.
Now, if anyone does watch any of the live streams, which I would assume many of our Panthers fans do, but if you're watching Inside the Jungle for the first time, really highly recommend it. I just want to give another shout out. I know we spoke about this before the game. If you were listening to the announcers over with Naz, that what you're saying just rang so true from the fact that they were interviewing our announcer, Dave Lewis. And it just seems like there's a mutual respect, even down to, again, the media teams, because it is such a small world within there, and a mutual respect within a sport that does so have so many connections.
Well, and I think the respect is given too when people understand that, you can tell who's doing things at a high level, and when you can, even Dave Lewis, he does it at a high level. I think Northern Arizona announcers do it at a high level too, and that's the same concept that the good organizations respect the good organizations, and they're all learning from each other. They all help each other out in the off seasons. We're all competing, but at the end of the day, you're only as strong as your partners. And so, in the indoor football league, everybody has to make sure that we're all doing the best we can to put on the best show possible, so it raises the expectations of the league. And so it's again, mutual respect, nothing but respect, but it's going to be a good one on Saturday night.
Okay, so after that, we finally have some home games back again, multiple home games in a row. We're going to be ending the season with many more home games than away. So let's go ahead and discuss May 25th. That's going to be our next home game, Military Appreciation Night. What are you looking forward to for the guys coming back home after we hopefully beat the Arizona Rattlers?
Well, I think, look, Military Appreciation Night, it's a fun night, but it's a special night, right? And so you get to celebrate the armed forces. You get to celebrate people who have, put their life on the line for everybody in this country. And I think it's cool, right? You celebrate what should be celebrated. And so for us, there's a lot of players that have family members in the armed forces, so it's really cool too. So we'll have special jerseys, which is I'm really excited about. We'll talk more about that, but just a great night, and I love the theme nights. Obviously, we have the Star Wars night, which is really cool. May 4th, and so this is a big one. And so there'll be a lot of cool things at halftime, a lot of cool things, pregame, and excited to be back home nonetheless. That's these are tough trips. And the guys,
especially back
to back, and these guys handle them well. They understand they take on the challenge, but then we come back home. Home game, bye week, home game. So that's going to be a great stretch for us. We're excited about it, but definitely have to get through Arizona to get there.
All right, so fans who are watching, fans who want to keep in touch, how can they support the guys throughout the week? How can they support the guys during the away games? And how can they just support the organization in total?
Yeah, no, without a doubt. So all the social media outlets, BayAreaPanthers.com, our website, obviously this network, BayAreaPanthersNetwork.com, and then watch our games on YouTube. I think that's awesome. Watch the games on YouTube. You comment section, which is always pretty cool.
Quite rowdy, by the way. If you would just like to watch a game with some good cheesemate, right? Go ahead and get in the comments.
Throw it in there. Get and there'll be Arizona Rattlers fans on it too, so you can kind of go banter back and forth.
Absolutely.
But yeah, get to know it. This is a high level of brand of football. And so I think people are really realizing, our players are realizing that too. After the Northern Arizona game, one of the things I said in the locker room, I was like, I think we're starting to realize how good this league actually is. And so they agree. I think that they're realizing that there are a lot of good talented players, in this league, and it's awesome because it's good football. And so the more you can support us and then come back home and come out to a game, the better it's going to be for everybody, because we want to show you just how good we are.
Amazing. Coach, thank you again so much for joining us.
I was smashing the entire time.
Yes, I was gonna say you had quite a lot of rice that you were moving around there trying to get. I think you killed most of this roll.
I did. I apologize if you were reaching for that one.
Listen, you gave me more of the baked rolls, so that's absolutely fine. For everyone who wants to keep in touch, just like Coach said, please go ahead and follow everything Inside the Jungle here on the Bay Area Panthers Network, and of course on our social media pages. Anything else? Last words?
No, thank you for everybody for watching this and all the support, and we appreciate you and look forward to seeing you again.
Yes, thank you so much. Another episode of Inside the Jungle. Thanks, fans.